I have posted, I have done that. Everybody is making money, but I'm not making money. What am I doing wrong? Well, the problem might just be your business model. What is a business model? So this is a practical business class. I'm not going to give you the classroom definition of a business model. Simply, a business model is how you make money, the mechanism behind how money gets to you as a business. So for example, like we pay for streaming on Netflix by the month. Imagine you had to pay for each movie. That even as a person, even if you like movies, you get tired. Even if it's 10 naira per movie, that process of paying every time you want to watch a movie is tiring. So it is best suited you do like a monthly subscription plan or a yearly subscription plan where once you make that payment, you have access to all the movie for that period. That is very seamless. That's not it's not stressful. So business model is just the way you structure how your business makes money. Sometimes you might be making money, but that might not be like the best option for your business. For example, even if you are selling food, a lot of people I know have like a package with 9 to 5 hours where they tell them, okay, pay this amount for the month and I'll supply your lunch throughout that month. So someone else might be making better food, but because of the convenience of paying once a month, that person already has an advantage over the person that is selling per meal. So there are different types of business models. So I'll just run through a few of them. So we have the subscription model. Like subscription is what we are used to, like the likes that Netflix, DSTVs. So what that does is it works better with software applications. So if you pay a certain amount, like a client pays, a customer pays a certain amount, and they get access to use the platform for a period of time that their subscription covers. So it might be a month, it might be a year, whatever the time period is. Subscription is just a model where someone pays to get access to use something for a period of time. Another model we have out there is the freemium model. What does freemium mean? Free, premium, something like that. There's a free part of it and there's a premium part of it. So when you put the free and the premium, you get a freemium model. So like software companies also do it. That's why you get your 1 month free trial. So that's the free part, but the free part will not have all the features, right? And some other platforms, there will be the one you can use free forever, but it will have limited features until you now pay a fee before you now get the premium version of it. So that's another way to get people to utilize and experience your business before they now decide to make a payment for it. This might work better for like an experience-based company. So let's say, for instance, you have a lounge, but I don't know if your food is good. I don't know if I'll be like, okay, fine. When you come to our lounge, the first meal is free. But after you have the first meal, then you have to pay for the rest. So that kind of attracts people to say, okay. And if they taste the first meal and they're like, oh, this is nice, then they are now more willing to pay. Another common model is what we call the razor and blades model. What that means is you sell something to somebody at a cheap rate, but they need a part of that thing continuously. The thing you sold to them cannot work without the other thing. So for instance, this is what companies that own printers. So they sell you a printer once, but you need to continually buy ink. So that kind of company, for instance, even if the printer costs say 50,000 to produce, they can decide to sell it to you at 20k, 30k, knowing that you need to come back continuously to buy inks, and that's where they will now make the difference they've saved on the printer, because you keep on buying ink, and the more you buy ink, the more money they make. So at the end of this, sometimes the money you pay on ink might be more than the money you paid for the printer. So that's what we call the razor and blades. So razor is the thing, but you keep buying the blades, you keep buying continuously. That's another model people use. So there's another thing we call B2B and B2C. B2B means business to business, and B2C means business to customer. So if you are doing B2B, that means you are selling from one business to another business. So those are the people that supply other companies like utilities. So for instance, using the food example that I mentioned earlier as well, you can decide that, okay, for my own food delivery business, I'm not selling to individuals. I only want to sell to companies. Now you just focus on that, and you find companies that have staff that are willing to make like monthly subscriptions for your food plan. So it's the same food you are selling, but this time around, your business model is giving you a different target audience so that you don't bother yourself selling to individuals. All you are looking for is companies with say 20 to 30 staff that you can be supplying lunch to every day. Yeah, it's still food, but that model gives you some sort of distribution advantage because you already know that every day, if once you have like 3 to 5 companies that have subscribed to you, you are sure that every day you already have that number of customers to serve, unlike someone that is waiting every day for someone to come and buy food. So this is, you see, the dynamics is a business model can really just be the unique factor that makes one business better than the other business. So you need to look for a model that gives you an advantage over your competitors. So there's a tool we use to identify like the best business model for you. It's called the business model canvas. So it's like 9 different dimensions you have to look at, some on the side of the customer and some on the side of the business, before you decide on the best business model that suits your type of business. So first on that list is the customer segment you want to serve. So I mentioned B2B, B2C. So you have to choose, do I want to serve businesses alone? Do I want to serve customers alone? Do I want to serve both of them? Do I want to just focus on government contracts? So you need to look at your type of business and say, okay, which of these customers am I targeting? Another thing you have to look at is your value proposition. What value proposition means is what problem are you solving and who are the people who need this solution. So if you solve the problem with your business, you have to now relate it back to the best customer segment that suits your solution. The other thing to consider is channels. What channels talks about is the medium through which you want people to reach your business. So you can decide to stay online, you can decide to have a physical space, you can decide to use both, and you can decide to use just middlemen and just work directly with middlemen. So depending on the one that suits your type of business, you have to decide on the channel where you want your clients to reach you through. So another area we look at is revenue streams. So this is the interesting part of business modeling, because there are different ways you can make money, but a lot of us just focus on one thing. So let's say you're a fashion designer now. A lot of fashion designers just focus on the part where they get the fabrics and they make the outfits. But that's not the only thing you can use to generate revenue for that business. You can become a fashion consultant that helps people know the best fabric to use part-time. You can do trainings for people. You can shoot content and you get content money from the different platform your content is going on. So what this is really about is you not just focusing on the main source of revenue. You should look at other ways you can also make money not from a new business, from the same type of business. Let's say you have a website where you post all this your fashion finished products. You can also do ads on those websites, on those your Instagram page, for instance. You can do influencing for people, help them sell so they're just a way for you to know that having one business does not mean that all your money has to come from one stream. You have to open it up to as many revenue streams as possible, but it has to still be in line with your business, not you selling clothes today, tomorrow you are selling pepper. No, it has to be in the same industry. So another thing that guides the kind of business model you choose is what we call key resources. Like what are the things that are unique to your own type of business per se. So for instance, we have different types of people with different talents. Using the same example of a fashion designer, there are some fashion designers that all they can do is sew. So it's different from someone who has the talent of creating content. So you have to now focus on the one is your best feature. So if you can just sew, you don't need to start disturbing yourself around creating. Just take nice pictures of your product. So you have to have a product focused business. So you don't do so much around content that is not focused on the product, because that is the key resource you have. So you have to focus your model on what is the best thing for you. Another thing we talk about in the business model canvas is key partnerships and key activities. So it's still around the things that are to your advantage. So using the same example of a fashion designer, if the people around you are kaftan wearing people, I don't see why you are focused on making suits. Do you understand? Because if you look at the people around you, the people in your ecosystem and the kaftan wearing people, if you make kaftans, you have an advantage over you trying to break into the suit market. So try to always look at what you have as an advantage around you when choosing your business model. Lastly, and very important, is your cost structure, like costs. What does it cost you to do what you do? What does it cost you to make that product? What does it cost you to deliver that service? So because a business model is attractive does not mean you just pick it. You have to come back to now calculate the cost. Say for instance, if you want to run a subscription model on food, the example I gave earlier, you know that if you do that kind of thing, you've already collected money for the month. There's no story about when it got to the middle of the month, pepper got expensive. It's nobody's business because you are running a subscription model. I've paid you for the month. Whether pepper goes up or down, the burden is now on you. So it's not just about, oh, I like this model, I will choose this model. You have to always look at the cost implication of every model you want to run with. Essentially, when you are looking at a business model or a business model canvas or anything surrounding choosing a business model, what you are really trying to say is, what is the best way for me to have an advantage in this business? That means you have to now look at, okay, if I go this direction, what are the pros and cons of it? If I go that direction, can I mix two models together? What is the best advantage based on the location I'm in? Is essentially you just looking at different styles you can adopt to make money. Making money is the most important thing at the end of the day. If you say, okay, everybody's doing subscription, I want to do subscription as well. If it doesn't make you money, then it does not make sense. And if all these things I've been saying, if all this English is too much for you to understand, I am one DM away. Mr. Adekiton. Instagram, everywhere. At a cost. Always.